Alright, hey everybody, this is a real shoot from the hip kind of video. And if you know anything about my channel, you know that those shoot from the hip videos tend to go quite nicely. Alright, if he has a pulse, kick him in the fucking head. Yeah, so today I'm actually going to be making a tutorial on how it is I make my thumbnails. If I go to my YouTube channel. So my thumbnails on my YouTube channel are quite unique for somebody who has under 20 subs. So yeah, I'm actually going to be showing you all today because I had a request to kind of give an outline on how I do these sort of thumbnails. Yeah, so today I'm going to be running over how I make a thumbnail. I'm actually going to be making a thumbnail, and that thumbnail is going to be uploaded with the video. A lot of it's very easy because this one per se is a background, logo, some random anime thing, a border, and some text. This one's a screenshot and text. This one's a screenshot and text. This one was a background, a cutout of the oppressor, and text. Alright, so the first thing you got to do is pull up any sort of Photoshop or photo editing software you guys got. I'm using Photoshop CS2 that I downloaded off a really shady link from Mediafire. I don't recommend you guys do that. There's probably a bunch of Chinese and Russian people fucking looking at me through my webcam right now. First thing you got to do is do a Control N. If you're using Photoshop, that's going to bring up a brand new sort of thing to be able to work. I always do a 16:9 resolution, which is just 1080p. Alright, so the way that I make my thumbnails, which I will be actually making thumbnails off an already created video, only because the majority of my thumbnails are basically screenshots. So if you have a video, or if you're just a lazy piece of shit like me and you have 33 fucking videos already completed without thumbnails, you can just pick on one. Alright, so what you're going to want to do is, we all have different and weird ways of fucking doing this, is get a screenshot from your video. Alright, so I have my screenshot, and when you use the print screen key, it automatically goes onto your clipboard. So all you gotta do is, when you're on the screen, make sure that you're working within your Photoshop itself. You want to do a Control V, and it gets on there. Now, what I do at this point is I like to give myself a little bit of room with the borders. I hit Control T, I hit a Shift to keep the proportions right, and I just zoom in. And this is the screenshot that I found, which it took me about a second or two to just kind of comb through it. And what I do is I just get what I call the background. So this kind of looks like a pretty good, if I just maybe move it down a little bit, center it in the screen, you have yourself a pretty good canvas layout. I'm not going to go too far ahead, but I'm just going to kind of show you what the fuck I'm going to try to do with this. And hopefully it turns out relatively alright. And this is where the text is going to go. It's going to go into here. And I'll do that right now actually. But the font that I use a majority of the time is this font right here. It's called Babus New. And I really like it. I really prefer it. Alright, so I sort of just named it. I didn't really have a name for this right from the get-go, which is kind of the most annoying part about making my thumbnails, is simply just... it's just having that writer's block when you look at the thumbnail and you don't know what to name your video, or at least have the subtitle. I mean, you can get away with really anything, honestly. Besides, yeah, this would look, I mean, honestly, we got something like this. It looks good. It looks a medium. No. I mean, red wouldn't be bad. But actually, I was really digging whatever the hell I picked on. Yeah, something like that. That is what I'm digging. Let's see if that works. So obviously this layer is now on top. Move that below. And then you just do this really white trash way of kind of getting a 3D sort of thing going. You just kind of can actually make that fit the whole thing. And you'll notice that, obviously, I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's a bit of a gap. If you really cared, you would go to the bottom layer, and then you would hit the eraser tool right here. And obviously it's to create it, you have to make it an object, which you just hit OK. And once you make it an object, you can't change the the writing. Like it turns into like a physical like PNG. So just keep that in mind. I mean, you could do little stuff like kind of try and trim it off. I mean, I've done that a couple times, you know. I don't really know how best to explain that. Basically, it can look like shit if you fuck up. That's all I'm saying. But I'm not gonna worry with that. Like so. There we go. All right, so now what you do is you do the filter, or I'm sorry, you do layer, and then you just flatten the image. So now the image is it's one entire JPEG. So, all right, I'm gonna flatten the layer itself. I go to filter, filter gallery, fit on screen, and I always do the film grain. This is the number one thing that I do. I hit OK, and you're gonna notice that it does. I'm going to kind of go back and forth. This is no film grain, no film grain, film grain. It does like to brighten up the image. So then you do image adjustments, and then I usually do brightness and contrast. And then that's kind of how I get like a little bit more of a bit of a high contrast. Something like that. I like that. I like the colors. Kind of gives me like a 70s sort of vibe, and that's kind of something that I dig. But this is the subtitle, and the real video will have a different title. So I just do File, Save As, and I always like to save it where I keep the video. That's why all of my unreleased neat thumbnails are in folders, is I can just throw it in there. What the hell was it called? Speed Racer Train Meme. I throw it in there with it. I change this to a JPEG, and now this will be S. Take out the MP4 because you corrupt the file, and it just becomes just thumbnail or whatever. And this is where it gets kind of tricky, is I like to keep it under 2, so I just fuck around with the numbers. 9 is a little bit too high, I think. 8, 7, alright, it'll be at 7, so it's gonna, yeah. Alright, let's see, just want to make sure before I fuck around that it's saved. I'm gonna go here, this, yep, and it's saved, so we're good. That's how you make a thumbnail.